This is my crazy 2-year-old, and these are the stairs he's trying to navigate now that we moved into a new 2-story home. He's not quite as tall as his brother, so he has trouble reaching the traditional handrail and resorts to trying to hold on to the wall instead. I'm going to show you how I made him his own handrail in this quick one-day project. The first step was to head over to either your blue or orange store and grab a length of 1x4. I chose the straightest piece of premium pine that I could find, as well as some 1x2s. The 1x4s have some pretty sharp edges to them and wouldn't be very comfortable to hold on to, so I used a trim router with a roundover bit to give the edge more of an oval shape. If you don't have a router, you could accomplish the same thing with some sandpaper and some elbow grease, but this tool definitely saves a lot of time. After knocking down all 4 edges, I cleaned up the surface with some sandpaper to make sure there were no splinters that might catch my little guy's hand. Once everything was nice and smooth, I used a miter saw to cut the handrail down to length. I'm cutting both ends at 45 degrees to give the handrail a mitered return to the wall, which will give the rail a much more polished look as well as prevent things from getting caught on the edges when going up and down the stairs. I'll be using the offcuts as scraps, so be sure to get a board a little bit longer than you need for your rail. I then cut the 1x2s down to length to attach to the back of the handrail. This will be the part that actually contacts the wall and will give enough clearance for little hands to grab onto the rail. Next, I attach these with a little glue and brad nails. There's really no need to go crazy with securing the 1x2s to the rail. There will be much larger screws going all the way through that will sandwich all of this together later on. And yes, I did make a slight miscut here, which I'll patch with wood filler later and hopefully can make it disappear. After the back was attached, I used the offcuts from the rail to measure and cut for the returns. I used some more glue and brad nails to attach these and repeated the process on the other side. Now that the rail was assembled, I gave it a quick prime and paint with foam brushes and rollers. Now the most important part of all of this is making sure you attach the rail directly to the studs. I would not trust any kind of drywall anchor for this application. I'm using my stud finder to locate the studs and mark them with painter's tape to have a clear visual of where I need to be drilling. We attached the rail in the center first and used it as a pivot point to make sure the slope followed the stairs evenly. The screws I'm using for this are 3-inch cabinet screws. These kinds of screws are made for holding large amounts of weight and have a wide, flat head to prevent them from breaking through the other side of the wood. There's actually a bathroom on the other side of this wall, and I know I've got some plumbing behind this wall, so you'll see me use a laser line on some of these to make sure I'm hitting the center of each stud. I'm actually going to be hiding the heads of the screws by creating a recess in the face of the rail. When doing this, I find it helps if you make a jig by cutting a hole in a scrap piece of wood and using it as a guide to keep the bit from dancing around while you start the cut. Once the bit gets going, you can remove the jig and finish the recess. After installing the screw, I came back with some hole patch to fill in the screw heads and put one last coat of paint to blend it all in. After the paint was dry, my boys gave it a test drive and their seal of approval. This has probably been one of the most useful things we've made, and we're really happy with how it turned out. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.